In this video, we will see what is Amazon AWS VPC, subnet routing table, and ICW. What is VPC? It's a virtual private cloud, as a kind of virtual network dedicated to your Amazon AWS account, and it is logically isolated from the other virtual network in AWS cloud. So you can launch any instances within this VPC, and assume it is like a traditional data center where we have a network. It's something similar to that. It's like building your own data center, and launching your instances within your data center like a secured network. That's what VPC. And excuse me. What is subnet? Subnet is a range of IP address within the VPC, and so usually we have a broad network and we will create multiple subnets, right? Small tiny networks, that's called subnet, and we try to keep our resources a little bit more isolated, to keep it much more secure. So for example, production, we try to keep it in one subnet. Non-production like test and development, we try to keep it in a different subnet. So that's similar. So subnet is which comes under the VPC, but you can have multiple subnet. And for example, if you want resources like instances need to talk to internet, so it's exposed to the internet, so keep it in the public subnet where the internet gateway is attached. And any other critical servers where you don't want to expose to internet, and keep that in a private subnet, so there is no IGW or no router attached, so it's very secure. So that's what the subnet is meant for. And routing table, so what is routing table? Whenever you create a subnet, there will be a routing table automatically created, and basically it is going to have a rules, which source and which destination, and how to send the traffic. That's the information it is going to have. So every subnet, as I mentioned, is going to come with one default routing table. You can create a routing table separately and attach it into any subnet. That is also possible. So we'll talk about that a little bit broader in our demonstration. And what is IGW? IGW is Internet Gateway, which is a highly scaled and redundant and highly available internet endpoint kind of router. Think like this in a traditional way. When we set up office or home, if you want an internet connection, we go talk to the ISP and we get the router, modem, and connected in our home or office, and then we allow our local computers or servers browse via the router, right? So that's exactly same IGW. So within we build the data center, which is VPC. It's a high broad network, so we can have one internet gateway, and all the traffic which you wanted to send it to public can go through this IGW. That's like a internet gateway. So it is predominantly used for two purposes. One is for internet access, and second is for NATing purpose. So we'll see that practically. Excuse me. So now this is a picture I got it from the Amazon website. This gives us a little bit more clarity. The first big rectangle is a region. Of course, when you launch any instance, we need to choose first the region. Within the region, you can create VPC. That's the inside the second smaller rectangle. It's a VPC. It's like a bigger network, 10.0.0 class A. And within this network, if you look at you can create multiple subnets. Subnet 1, subnet 2. You can have a number of subnets. And these subnets can talk to each other by using its own router. It's basically a gateway and routing table. What we are going to do, if you want any of these subnets want to go and talk outside internet, we can attach the IGW into into the VPC, so that these traffics can go out to the internet also. So we will, in our lab, we will do the same scenario. We will create a same similar kind of VPC, but the different VLAN, and and we create two subnets, and we allow internet routing and everything. Okay, so let's go to the lab now. Okay, log into your console and go to the networking section and go to VPC. The VPC, by default, when you say, I am in the North Virginia, basically this is US East region. So every region, usually it comes with one default VPC and some number of subnets. Some will have 4, some will have 2 subnets, depends on the availability zone. If you wanted to use the default one, that's fine, but part of the demo, we are going to create our own network and subnets. So click on your VPC. You can see this is a default VPC, which is in a 172 CIDR block, but in my lab, I'm going to create my own VPC in a 192 subnet. So what I want to say, it's my VPC for, let's say, for DFW office. So it's like a multiple branch office. If I have the similar, I can have multiple VPC. So the network is 192.168.0.0/16. This is my CIDR block. So, and tenancy, I can say dedicated and default. Let's use default, so that it is much more cheaper. So create. If you say dedicated, it is like you're going to have a dedicated devices and everything. The charge will be definitely more. So I created my own VPC. My VPC is ready. So which is in 192.168.1.0.0 subnet. And yeah. So let me create a subnet now. So subnet. Create. So this is the default subnet in 172 region. This is applicable for the default VPC. I'm going to create my own subnet. So what I'm going to say is DFW public subnet, which is 10. I can even say DFW public. The naming convention here is very important. 10, I'm sorry, 192.168.10.x. So I'm creating one subnet, 192.168.10.x. So anything in this network, I'm going to allow internet access. That's what I'm creating. So any instance I'm going to launch in this subnet, my idea is to allow them to connect through the internet. Okay, so VPC is 192 VPC. Choose your VPC, because we have one default VPC also. You can prefer any availability zone. I don't prefer here. Let's keep it. And we need to tell the CIDR block here 192.168.10.0/24. So this is my, remember, my VPC is 192.168.00/16. The first subnet what I'm creating is 192.168.10.0/24. So excuse me. So just say create. So I created one subnet now. Now, as I mentioned, anytime when you create a subnet, it comes with by default, it comes with a routing table. So look at here, DFW subnet is created, 10.x, CIDR block, whatever we mentioned, and which is under VPC, my VPC DFW. And look at here, routing table already. There is one routing table, RTB, blah, blah, 3B, and which has one default route. Anything in this subnet go to the local. That's what it's a default one. That's fine. And now I'm going to create one more routing table. I'm sorry, one more subnet. It's a private. So 192. I'm going to say it's a name, right? DFW private subnet 192.168.20.x. So anything in this So anything 192.168.20 is a private, no internet attached. So that's my plan. So so it is in the same VPC, and CIDR block it's going to be 192.168.20.0/24. So that's my subnet CIDR block. So you will see another routing table attached to here. So second subnet is created. It comes with one routing table. That's fine. All looks good. Now private and public, two subnets are there. Public should go to internet. How it will go to internet? We need an internet connection attached to that, right? So for that, I'm going to create an internet gateway, which is, as I mentioned, I'm going to talk to my ISP, get the internet. Same way, just go here, click here, create a gateway. Just say DFW public gateway, public internet gateway. So you know which gateway is used for what. So pretty quick, when internet router is ready, gateway is ready, attached to the VPC 192.162. This is my VPC. Attach it. Wonderful. So my VPC now got an internet connection, but the subnet, I have two subnets. I need to tell which subnet can go and go out through the IGW. That's something I need to tell the routing table. So how do I say public? Only public I wanted to go to internet, right? Go route table, edit, and I'm sorry, go route table, cancel this, go route table and click on the route table. That's the easy way. Click on the route table and select your route table and look at the route. It's a default route. Edit. Don't change the default one. Add another rule. Since it's a public, anytime if you want to go out from here, go through IGW, which is, see here when I click here IGW, this is IGW public gateway. Save it. So this routing table 03B, which is meant for public subnet, go to the subnet. Public subnet routing table is 03B. So now 03B is as another routing entry 000 go through IGW. But look at the private routing table. I'm sorry, private routing table 0E03B. Private routing table is also as the same thing. We don't want this. We need to edit here and let's cancel this. Let's create one more routing table. Create route table and say this is private routing table. For private routing table for 192.168.20 subnet. Okay, so here naming convention is very important so that we know what for we created. So okay, so now this, go back here, two subnets, route table. I have three route table, but one is a default one, another two is mine one, one is private I just created, another one is public. The public one only, let's comment it properly. Public routing table 192.168 10.0 subnet, 10.x subnet. Okay, so we know that now which one is for what. Public one is attached to public subnet, private one we need to attach to private subnet. Now let's do that. So public one has got public routing table 000, private one, and I'm going to edit and change this guy public routing table to private routing table so that you have only local. Save it. Okay, so there is no 00 now. That's because this is private. Look at here, this is public subnet, public routing table. So that's something we need to do that. That's all. So we have done with our VPC and subnet routing table, IGW, all four we created. Let me glance one more time. We created VPC, my VPC, DFW, which is 192.168.0.0 subnet. Inside the VPC, I created two subnet. One is public subnet, which is 192.168. I'm sorry, 192.168.10 dot subnet, and another one is private 192.168.20. So I created two subnets, and then I came here. I created two routing table. One is a public routing table with 000 goes through IGW. Another one is private routing table with just with one, and we created IGW, which is attached to our VPC. It's a DFW VPC. So four things we did: VPC, subnet, routing table, and IGW. Okay, so that's it. Now let's go and launch an instance. Go to EC2, launch instance. I'm creating Amazon Linux. Go configure. Here, ensure to choose your own VPC. So VPC and subnet. See, if you have to say public, there are two subnets, right? Whenever you launch instance, when you say public, they can access internet. Okay. When you say private, it is in a different subnet. So public, and assign public IP, enable. Just give, because it's a public, I wanted to give a public IP also, and I can have my own IP. Otherwise, it automatically assign. I know my subnet is public subnet is 192.168.10.x, right? So I wanted to give 10. Let's say 10.100. So here, when you give this, don't give 1, 2, 3. The first three IPs are reserved in Amazon. I think one is for gateway and DNS and DHCP purpose. So don't don't use 1, 2, 3 and use anything other than that. I'm giving 10.10. If you don't give it, automatically as an IP, and review, launch and launch and launch. Okay, I launched an instance. So let's see whether this instance is able to connect to the internet. So this is my Linux public subnet, public server. Okay, so now I chose the public IP, basically the auto assigned IP, but if you want, you can map the EIP also. That is up to you. So look at here, this is the private IP I gave, and this is a public IP. It assigned automatically, and let's wait for a couple of minutes and then go connect. This is my key and everything here. Go here. I kept my keys in the download, so it is going to that download. Still it is coming up. XSH-I. Oh yeah. I may need to check my security group. Let me quickly check my security group. This is my default security group. I didn't create anything. Inbound rule, I say anybody can come in. Okay, that's cool. All looks good. And instance is also running. So let me connect again. Okay, so it took some time to start. Now I'm able to connect. So look at my private IP 192.168.10.10. And now I can ping google.com. See, I'm able to ping google.com because because my network, this is a public network, right? I attach to internet, so I'm able to do all. So let's launch a private subnet. So if you want to launch private subnet, I can go to instance, launch instance, same thing, configure instance in the 192 VPC, my VPC, and instead of public, make sure it is private. And when you say private, I wanted to disable any public IP. I don't want any public IP. And then review, launch and launch and key. Okay, the question is, if there is no public IP, how am I going to access this server? This is Linux private server. It is going to come out with the private IP 192.168.20. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the IP. It automatically gave the IP 2108. That's fine. Otherwise, I could have put 2010 or something. That's fine. So now it's not going to come with any public IP. So how do I going to access this server? So remember we created a public. This server these two servers can talk to each other. From here I can ping 192.168.20.108. I can ping this, but now it won't ping. The reason I need to allow ICMP. Ping is the ICMP protocol, so I need to allow in security group. Let me allow security, update the security group. Go to security group, inbound, who can come in, add a rule, say all ICMP from where? From my subnet 192.168.0 slash 0.0 slash 16. That is my VPC side. What I'm saying, from my VPC anybody can do ping. Okay. Same way I can say, I can add one more rule. Instead of saying from anybody, from my VPC anybody can do SSH also. Okay, so this is the two things I said. So let's go back here and do ping. See, I'm able to ping now. So from my server I'm able to ping to, even I can do telnet 192.168.20.108.22. So I'm able to, oops, telnet is not there. Sudo yum install telnet. Now do telnet. So yeah, if I have a key, I don't have a SSH key in this server. If I move the key here, I can do SSH from my 192.168.10.10 server to 20.108 server. That's the way I can access. So to do that, I need to copy my SSH key from my local laptop to this server. Anyhow, it is in a public, I can do that. So this is pretty much we covered. So pretty easy. So we launched two instances, and one is a public accessing server, another one is a private. And this, why the private is unable to connect to internet, because private subnet doesn't have IGW attached. Private subnet doesn't have a routing table for internet gateway. So that's the reason. Why public is going to internet? Because public subnet has got routing table which has 000 going through IGW. Okay, so private doesn't have default gateway to IG. Public have default gateway to IGW. And private instance doesn't have public IP attached. Look at here, this is empty, and public has got one public IP attached also. So this is what it is. So in next class we will so do I need to have public IP now? Next video we will cover another scenario. We will have the same two subnet, and but both the subnet are kind of private subnet, but we will launch one NAT instance. So all the traffic will go through the NAT instance. So all my instance will be only having private IP. If they want internet, they will go through the NAT instance. So that's the scenario. We do it in the next lab. Okay, so that's it. I'm done. So if you if you want to watch these videos or any future videos, go to my my website. This is my website, mylinuxguru.com. You can see all the topics in the different modules. Okay, have a great day. Bye bye.